Right, police model. Can you hear that creaking noise? I'll deal with that shortly, but that is one of the pedals. It was both of the pedals, but I've rectified one of them. But this is like the first ride of it, really. Hey, look at that, a tiny baby frog. Or a toad or something. Nice Sunday evening. Perfect riding weather. I'll just go and prop this thing up actually, because there's no kickstand on it. Yeah, it's coming together pretty nicely now. Couldn't resist a ride after I'd assembled most of it. There's still a headset to do and sort the lock out, etc. But you'll notice, well, the eagle-eyed will notice a change of handlebars. There was a twist of irony in how I come by these. Somebody give me a Rudge. Well, it wasn't a Rudge, it was a Phillips loop frame ladies bike with 28-inch wheels. It had transfers on it as a Rudge, but really it was a Phillips. It had all the badging and fittings, etc. But it did have these Raleigh Industries handlebars with the longer stem. There's a few types of them. For the normal Dawn models and Superb models, they've got a short stem. These have a longer stem by a good 2 or 3 inches. So as I said, the irony come into it, because when on this bike, as it come to me, as you may have seen in previous videos, it had Phillips handlebars fitted. So now I've been able to sort of put the correct bars on both bikes. Not that I'm doing anything with that loop frame one. I've took the wheels off that and I'm going to scrap it, because nobody wants them. Nobody wants old loop framed ladies bikes. But yeah, not bad for a free thing. Chrome's come up really well with a bit of wire wool. So that's sort of it. Well, I'm going to ride down the canal, but otherwise, yeah, this has just been a sort of initial test ride really, and first impressions are very good. It feels very, very different to the other bikes with the smaller wheels, i.e. 26-inch. The wheelbase of this, of course, is a lot longer, and it has what I would say is a more traditional feel. It's certainly more upright and leisurely, but on account of its large wheels and gearing, which incidentally, when I say gearing, I don't mean it's tall geared, because I've just climbed a few gradients there, I think the cranks are longer as well, so it does allow one to cover ground pretty rapidly, it would seem. Certainly for a utility bike anyway. I think the reason the 26-inch wheels grew in popularity and superseded the old Edwardian 28 was for reasons of manoeuvrability. I think that was it. When traffic got busier in towns, and the bicycle became a transport tool and not a pastime of the well-to-do. Ooh. I'm glad of the Brooks sprung saddle now. That's Clegg Hall. I could have bought that for £1, but I wasn't old enough to. Brakes still need a bit of fettling. But yeah, I think the 26-inch wheels come about because they wanted to make the bikes a bit more sort of lively, you know, handling a bit better. Certainly on sports machines anyway, and then they sort of proliferated down to the ordinary workaday bikes. So yes, I'm just going to head over to the canal now. It's a nice little circuit, is this? It's a good test circuit I use. I can go round in a circle. And then if Bike and myself feel like doing a bit more, there's all this, there's any which way to go. That's the Rochdale Canal, which I'll do. I do intend, well, I will do this year. I'm going to ride this all the way into Manchester and document a few of the features and record a few of the old mills and surviving industrial premises from around the time of the canal for posterity. It's not the best road repair I've seen. So Manchester is that away. There's Rochdale with the Seven Sisters Flats and the clock tower of the town hall just visible. And with that, I'm going to go back home, back to the garage, and do a bit more fettling on this thing and explain about you know, that noise. One of the problems I was having after I stripped these pedals, exchanged any well, renewed the bearings with good used ones, repacked with grease, etc., refitted it, but there was a problem. As I was riding it, the pedals were locking up and there was an unpleasant sort of how would you describe it, as a sort of dull twang as they locked up and a bearing got jammed or something, and then it freed itself. It wasn't good. It was a bit like, you know, a loose spoke, or when spokes start making a noise. It was a bit like that. So no matter what I did, slackened them with plenty of free play, then tightened them, it didn't matter what I tried, it still did the same. They either locked up or made this noise because a ball bearing was catching. So I stripped it down again, and I thought, well, I'll have a look at the cones, because it can only be something like the cup of the cone, and the cups were all right. But I'm hoping you can see this, because it's actually quite pronounced. You can indeed. You see that on the right hand side of this cone, where it's spread out at the top. It should not be like that at all. It should be perfectly even all the way around, like on the left hand side. You can see on the right hand side it's spread and there's a lip. So that was the cause of that fault, that rough running. Fortunately, I had a spur. Well, I've still got to do the other side. I'm going to have to find another comb from somewhere, but I had a spur old Rudge one. I was just really saving that for the rubbers, really, but the pedal will go again. Attached to a Raleigh chain wheel. That had a good cone on it, so I fitted that. And now it's going just like it should, rotating ever so freely with minimal play. That's what I wanted. The other thing which came to light with these pedals is that the ball bearings are much bigger than standard. I'm not sure what size they are, but they're a lot bigger than the normal pedals. Again, in line with the heavy duty pretensions. Also, that here, this Rudge pedal, that's your standard gents 4-inch pedal. Hold it up against that and you'll see that the police one is a bit bigger, a good ½ inch bigger, for those large police feet. So yes, it's interesting, really, because when somebody uploaded a picture of the catalogue, the pedals weren't mentioned amongst special features. At least I can't recall them being mentioned. But there they are. Bigger than the ordinary. So it's nice to have kept them. I could, of course, have just replaced them, but you know, they've still got the Raleigh branding on them, even though they're worn on the faces there. I wanted to keep them because they were otherwise serviceable. They'll still go on for many years yet. Now it's just that other side to deal with after I've found another good cone. As it's a 1955 bike, this is some period literature. I'm sure one of these handbooks was sent out with every new bike. But the point is that there is no mention of a police model. And as far as I can ascertain, the only reference, the only plausible reference is to a heavy rider, and at that it only gives the front wheel bearing details, which are a 1/4 inch, which is right. pedal bearings for any model aren't mentioned. So it was just a case of stripping it down and really trying to find what I thought was suitable. Anyway, it's as you see, it's back on the road now. There's only one left to do, and then the front forks. So onwards and upwards.